Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4. This one is about when Laura got sick. So, this is, gosh, I don't even know how many takes I've done, um, but I've just kind of haven't made it through like the 2 or 3 minute mark yet without breaking down crying or losing all train of thought. Um, but, here's hoping, fingers crossed, we make this one work. So before Laura got sick, as I said in episode 3, she was in full homeschool mom mode. Our house was a loud, hot, crazy mess, and it was perfect. And I was working at a private school, and I had to work on the weekends, so we kind of made Mondays and Tuesdays our own little weekend. So we'd go to different activities. We'd go to state parks, national parks. We'd go to little children's museums. We went to DC a few times. Took the kids to the National Mall. Went to the museums there. Um, just hang out at the house and play. We just made it our own, and um, that this is usually part of where I start breaking down, just thinking about um, the good old times. What's it that? If you've ever watched The Office, when Andy says that quote, "I wish you knew when you were in the good old days." Man, ain't that the truth? All right. So in March of 22, we welcomed Penelope to the world. She was amazing. Our fourth baby, unfortunately, our last baby. Um, and all right, I'm gonna make it through. Gonna make it through. Okay. So we have Penelope, and so during that summer, after Penelope, Laura started having um, like a little cough, like a light, like like every once in a while. Kind of like if you have a tickle in your throat or you're trying to clear out like a little bit of phlegm, like waking up or something. It wasn't anything, major or abnormal. Like she didn't have a fever, she didn't have headaches or, um, you know, we didn't like see a lump or anything. Um, just thought it was allergies, honestly. Or it could have been, it could have been COVID. I had gotten COVID in January before Penelope was born. We went to Texas to visit my family. So we thought, since I was working at the school, maybe I had caught it again, but wasn't showing any signs or symptoms. And then maybe it, somehow she got it as well. We just didn't know. We didn't know. And so we didn't make a big deal out of it. We kind of just, she would take like some extra vitamins and um, drink some orange juice, and we thought, it'll go away soon. Um, in October of 22, Laura's cousin Lily, who lives in Germany, was starting her gap year. She had just finished um, high school, whatever the equivalent is in Germany. I can't remember. And so she wanted to travel abroad, and so we said, "Come stay with us." So she had planned to come down for about 6 months to stay with us, which was exciting, especially for the kids. Brand new toy, and we were already planning a bunch of different exciting trips that we wanted to go on, and it was perfect. She hadn't been to the States before, so this was going to be a great opportunity for her to see a whole bunch of different places that she'd never been, and maybe wouldn't get the chance to again. Who knows? So she arrived in October. we were planning trips, and our first one was at Thanksgiving. We were going to Virginia Beach, and we rented a little, um, like a beach house, multi-story. How they're like, they've got like 3 or 4 floors or something, and um, so by that time, Laura's cough had gotten, I don't want to say significantly worse, but it was more prevalent in our day to day. She was also getting tired more, um, not tired more, but tired easier. Um, we have stairs in our house, and so that's where our laundry room is, in the basement. You can actually see the stairs right there. So whenever she would come up the stairs, she would be really out of breath, um, and would need to sit down. And she used to take the dogs and the kids, all of them, for these long walks. We have a river close to us, and she would take them on the trail to go down the river. And it, like, the weird part was she wasn't like unfit. She wasn't out of shape. She had been going for walks all the time, so it wasn't anything new. But it was just slowly getting hard. She wasn't gaining weight or anything, so we were like, this is weird. Like, this is weird. And we thought, well, maybe it's like adult onset asthma. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Sometimes the brain just doesn't want to accept what it is. And so we try to, just make up what it could be, something safer, something not as final. Anyways, so we thought it was like adult asthma. And so we went to a pulmonologist, did a bunch of tests before we left for Virginia Beach. And the doctor was like, I'll call you as soon as we have like your lab results in. Um, and if we need to, we'll put you on albuterol or whatever else. And so we went to the beach, and you know, we had as good of a time as you can. Laura didn't really get to do much because she couldn't walk very far without um, feeling like she couldn't breathe, you know. So she stayed home most of the time. I took the kids out. Lily would walk the kids on the beach, um, or we'd all hang out together with her and watch a movie. Um, Anytime she had to go like upstairs, like she was staying there for most of the day. But like she could like walk around on like level ground for a little bit, but then she would need to sit down. She couldn't carry Penelope anymore. It was just too taxing um, on her breathing. I don't know why I was going to say respiratory system, like I'm a doctor or something. Whatever. Um, so we get back from the beach, and it was either that Monday or Tuesday, I don't recall. We got a call from the doctor, and she said it's lung cancer. You need to come in and do a biopsy. It's very matter of fact. Okay. How the hell did you get lung cancer? What the hell's going on? So, trying to express the feelings that we both had in that moment, I don't know how to put it into words. There was shock, anger, disbelief, denial, begging, all of those feelings all at once, and then over and over again. We called our families, let them know what the doctor said. We told Lily. We hadn't told the kids yet anything. Um, okay, trying not to lose my shit here. Pardon my language. So, so we went back to the pulmonologist, and she did a biopsy of Laura's lung, which Laura said was the most painful experience she had ever happened. And she'd already given birth to 4 kids without drugs. So that definitely says a lot. Um, and the doctor said we'll have the results back in like 48 hours, or it was a quick turnaround. I was surprised on the quick turnaround, which, um, in hindsight was very helpful that it was so quick, um, because we got it got us to the point of the stuff we needed to know so we could start treatment. Anyways, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. So lots of crying, over these days, lots of why us, why. Everything was looking bleak. I was researching lung cancer, survivability, lung transplants, anything I could find to give myself something tangible to hold on to. And it was all bleak is the best word I can think of. So another thing I will say is in late October, Laura started having some red splotchiness on her left breast on the inside. Um, and it was like maybe a little inflamed, but we thought it was like a clogged duct. Goodness, from breastfeeding or not breastfeeding enough on that side and maybe overfeeding on the other side. Because she had those before, and so it was just you just wait it out and try to milk or pump, to really get everything moving again. So again, not wanting to see it for what it was, we chose to just think it was a clogged duct and it'll be fine. Clearly wasn't fine. So, we were still worried about that. And the pulmonologist was like, well, while we're waiting on this, I've set you up to get a mammogram at the oncologist at the breast care center down the road, the UVA breast care center. That was the next day. So the next day, it was either the next day or the day before, the day before, pardon me, the day after. And so we went to the breast care center. She got a mammogram. This is probably the most terrifying part. She was getting the mammogram, and the nurse or tech or whatever the position of the woman inside that was like doing like the scans, and I don't know. I didn't go back there. It was for women only, so I stayed out front, waiting and waiting and waiting. And so Laura comes back out to get me so we can go sit and wait for the oncologist, and she's just like bawling her eyes out. And so, no, we weren't going to see the oncologist because we were doing the mammogram and then we were leaving. So she comes out, she's crying. We're walking to the car, and she's just, I don't want to say hot mess, but I mean, yeah, she's just, and I'm trying to get like, what's going on? What do they say? She can't really come up with the words because she's just bawling, but also like, she's working herself up, so then she can't breathe as well, and so it's just spiraling out of control. So we get into the car, turn the air conditioning on, and kind of like blast into her face, kind of cools her off a little bit and helps her kind of settle down a little bit. And so she tells me that the lady in there, the nurse or tech or whatever she was, told her that it looks like inflammatory breast cancer. Mind you, this woman is not a doctor or diagnostician or whatever. And so, and I was like, what the hell is inflammatory breast cancer? Me still being a little uneducated, I didn't realize there were so many different types of breast cancer. I thought it was just you had breast cancer. I didn't know there was, triple negative, HER2 low, HER2 negative. There's just so many different ones. And so she tells Laura that she's so sorry. It looks like inflammatory breast cancer, and that has a, average 6 months of survivability. or 6 month mortality rate, whatever it was. It was very bad and clearly upset Laura to the point of just emotional breakdown. And if you had known Laura, she was very in control of her feelings, um, for the most part, especially when we're out in public. She had a handle on, you know, her public persona, public face, whatever you want to call it. So we get in the car. She's starting to recover a little bit. She's trying to slow her heart rate down, her respiratory rate down. I'm on my phone just, Googling, what the hell is inflammatory breast cancer? And the results are horrifying. Most people, don't survive 6 months with it. So we're like, what the fuck? Sorry, the language. The people that do survive past 6 months don't make it past a year. Like, nobody with this disease has made it past a year, is what Google is telling me. Whether or not that's true or not, I didn't dive that deep into it because I started bawling. How am I going to raise my children alone? I still think about that every night. So, we call her parents, we call my parents, we let them know, call her sister, we call Lily, who's at the house with the kids, like, hey, like, this is not good. And we get home, I draw her a bath, help her relax. And I think it was the next morning, the pulmonologist who did the biopsy called back and said that it's not lung cancer, that it's cancer from another part of her body, but she doesn't know where it originated from because she's not an oncologist. So she recommends like going back to the breast care center and getting a back to the breast care center and getting a biopsy, so they can see if it originated in the breast tissue, which is what they thought was the most likely scenario. And so we told the pulmonologist what the nurse, tech, whatever, had told us. And she said, well, you need to call the oncologist right now, set up a biopsy, and talk to the doctor. Don't talk to the technician. And so we said, okay. So we called the breast care center and they said, you can come in this afternoon. So we go in and we do the biopsy. And she said that one was even more painful than the lung. I guess there's a lot more nerve endings and sensitive tissue, obviously, in that area. And I guess they had to remove more internal tissue than they did with the lung, just to, I don't know. I guess because there's more fatty tissue in the breast, so they needed more of it to make sure that the results were solid, so they didn't have to go back and do it again. Which, I mean, if you're a doctor, sure, that makes sense. With me, I'm just like, oh, you hurt my wife, and please, I don't want you to do it again. So just get it done with. So we've, oh man, just trying to hold it together here. So, we go through this huge questionnaire afterwards. Um, you know, Family history, habits, eating style. Um, what is your home life like? Just basically, I feel like I'm getting vetted for a security clearance. So this is like Wednesday or Thursday in the week. I can't remember which day it was, but I do know Friday of that week, the oncologist actually called us and said, hey, we know what it is. And she was like, it's stage 4 breast cancer, specifically HER2 low, which basically her hormones, her estrogen, was feeding the cancer. the specifics don't matter. So when she said stage 4, though, even for somebody that doesn't know a lot about cancer, that is the bad one. Like, there's 4 stages, 4 being the worst. It doesn't matter if you don't know anything about cancer, that's bad. And so we were like, so it's not inflammatory. I'm like, no, but it is terminal. You're never going to get rid of it because it's stage 4, it's in your lungs. Um, anyways, so the reason they knew it was stage 4 is Laura had also taken a CT scan, and the day that she had the biopsy, and so it was in her lungs, her liver, her spinal column, her pancreas, her pelvis, and of course, both breasts. What's weird is in that week, our lives changed so much that I almost forgot what it was like before we've got that news. Just like if you've been a parent, for a good amount of time, you almost forget what life was like before being a parent. Like, what did I do with all my free time? Like, I don't remember. And one moment we're planning homeschool stuff for the fall. The next moment we're planning, how do we tell our kids that mommy has stage 4 cancer and it's terminal? I don't think I've ever cried that much in my life. That whole week, that weekend, well, up to that point. Now I cry every single day. And, the day Lori died, I cried the whole day. So we had to make a plan to tell the kids, but we didn't know what exactly to say. So the oncologist, when we talked to him, he said it was so we had an oncologist and he had a nurse practitioner that we spoke with as well. And so we spoke with her first, and then we spoke with him. He wanted to get Laura going into chemo like right away. And so he wanted to start the next week. We were going to do, gosh, I can't even remember the name of it. We've gone through so many medicines. But it was an infusion chemo. So we had to get a port installed in her, right below her collarbone. Basically, the chemo was so potent that if they did an IV through like intravenously, it would just destroy the vein in her arms. So we needed a port. And so Laura got the port installed on Saturday, and it was healed enough by the next Thursday or Friday that we started the chemo. So not only that, but she also had to get hormone shots to suppress the estrogen, and some kind of calcium bone shot because of how intense the chemo was. It would start to degrade her bones. And yeah, it was a lot. So the estrogen shot, she had to get like below her belly button, like to the right, below and to the right or left of her belly button, and had to switch each times, so that it could get into like her ovaries. And then the bone shot she had to get in her shoulder. And this was all after doing the chemo each week. Eventually, that turned into the estrogen and bone shot. After the first few weeks, went to a monthly dose, which was nice because those needles were they're big needles. Yeah. So before we went to the first chemo, we told the kids, and my oldest two are 11 and 9 right now, so they would have been I'm doing math here now. They would have been 7 and 9 at the time, 6 and 8 going on. Yeah, 6 and 8, about to be 7 and 9. Yeah, because this was 22, so they were 6 and 8, and then Amelia was 4, and Poppy was not even a year. So we told the kids, it went about as well as you think it was telling a 4, 6, and 8-year-old. They didn't understand. Felicity, being the oldest, might have grasped it the best, obviously being the oldest, but they still didn't really understand that what terminal meant, and that mommy's hair was going to fall out, and that she couldn't just like take a couple pills and be okay, or take some cough medicine and feel better, like when they got sick. So, I mean, that was hard. That was tough. How would they understand that? I mean, even now, like the two younger ones who are 3 and 7, like they don't really get it. I mean, Penelope asks me every day, like, "Where's mommy?" Mommy's in heaven, and when is mommy coming back from heaven? So what do you say to that? So that was the start, of our 2.5-year chemo journey. When Laura was first diagnosed with the actual correct diagnosis, the doctor said that she had approximately a year to 18 months to live. So, we did make it past that. Laura never thought she'd see 35. I don't mean never, but after that point, she didn't think she would see 35. So she did. I was definitely hoping she would see 80. So this was the beginning of the darkest chapter of my life and my kids' lives. We weren't ready for it at all. We weren't ready for all the challenges, the ups and downs. We weren't ready for how much it took from us. Whew, all right. Well, I made it through. Made it through. So if you stuck with me this far, I appreciate it. It's nice to be able to put these feelings kind of out in the world and, you know, cathartic in a kind of way. But if you're someone that is struggling with cancer, or a loved one is struggling with cancer, or you've lost a loved one to cancer and you want to talk, I'm here. I'm here. We can talk. We can talk. I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you for listening.